In 2015, my wife and I moved to Arizona. Now, most people know this as a happy story of moving from a cold environment to a much warmer climate. And although this is true, it's way more complicated than that. We moved from Chicago to Arizona under financial straits and with a relationship that was really hanging on by a thread, but we were determined to start over and to rebuild the life that we really want. Now, I didn't even have a career plan at the time. My wife had an offer that allowed us to move here pretty quickly, but I had to take some pretty random jobs for a year or so before I finally settled back into the field of education. Now, this was weird because I had a little bit of experience in special ed, but no real background. But as luck would have it, that's exactly where I ended up. There was plenty of opportunity here in Arizona, and I decided, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. Now, I realized that this was God kind of ordering my steps because there are several things that came out of that experience. Number one, I think it prepared me for raising a child on the spectrum. But number two, during my time as a special education teacher, I was introduced to the ACEs research. Now, ACEs refers to adverse childhood experiences. It is basically the data around traumatic events that experienced by kids from 0 to 17 years of age. Now, the CDC has put out some really interesting statistics about ACEs. Here's one of them. 61% of adults surveyed across 25 states reported that they had experienced at least one type of ACE in their life. Now, it's also interesting that in 1 in 6 of those reported said that they had experienced 4 or more adverse traumatic experiences in their life. Now, as an educator that cares a lot about the health and well-being of his students, this was concerning. This was interesting. This was important data to consume and reflect on. But what it allowed me to do was to kind of think back on my own story and to think back on my own experiences and realize how it had impacted where I was about to be. See, the Bible says that we are overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And the reality is we could go through hell and make it out. But if we never share the story, if we never talk about it, if we never face the trauma that we've experienced, then we can help no one else. Then it'll be in vain to have dealt with all that we have dealt with, to have overcome, to have conquered all of the pain and suffering that we have experienced. So for me, this project, this work, this was first and foremost my therapy. It was my opportunity to face the things that I had not been willing to deal with, to embrace the struggle and the pain that I had so long ignored. But it was also an opportunity for me to turn this test into a testimony and to share it with whomever could relate to the struggles, could relate to the hardship, and could relate to the fight to overcome. So I think that this was my way of teaching through truth. Meaning, I am an educator at heart, and I don't profess to be any expert, but here's what I do know. I'm not the only one to experience the things I've experienced. I'm not the only one to have felt the things that I have felt. And I am reflective over the words of Mahalia Jackson, who said, if I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or a song, if I can show somebody he's traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. And so I approach this for the singular purpose of there are so many people out there hurting. There are so many people who have experienced not only ACEs, but those ACEs, having not been dealt with in their childhood, has developed into adult issues. And we're going to dive into them, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about how faith and the tension therein impacts all of these different struggles. But for me, I just wanted to help myself first, and anybody else who may be facing some of the same things. Finally, I want to personally invite you to the Controversy Project Facebook group, A Safe Place. It is a free and exclusive community where trauma survivors and trauma supporters have gathered together to share testimonies, to share resources, and to share support and love for each other, as all of us are endeavoring to learn to live TS strong. This is just another one of the many multimedia platforms that we have chosen to use in order to fulfill this very, very important mission. And I want to invite you to be a part of it, and obviously welcome you to it in advance. Listen, in closing, until next time, I want to remind each and every one of you how important it is for you to confront your pain, how important it is for you to live your purpose, and how important it is for you to invest in your project. Till next time, peace.